And then finish the review of this typical. Yes, so I'll do. Well, all meetings. Yeah. I get your. Right about you.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, right. There's double the size.
Rise to the flag, call this meeting to order.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Recording.
Before we start,
Okay, hold on. So this meeting is being recorded at 6:01 on 12/4/2023. First up, we're introducing a new officer. Ryan, go ahead.
So this is Cody Bell. Cody came to us from Catskill Police. He was a sergeant there. He is working for us now, and he's replacing Logan Alexanian, who is leaving on December 18th. Today was his first day.
And you live in Rensselaer. Yep. Excellent. Welcome.
Welcome to the village of Menands. How'd you enjoy it today?
Well, welcome to the police force.
Thanks, Cody.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
See you around.
All right, first up is, we need to approve the minutes for November 20th meeting.
I'll make a motion. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Done. Hit the warrants.
Warrant number 12X, totaling $53,502.26. Warrant number 13, general, $404,155.56. Water, $93,145.02. Sewer, $50,875.80. Payroll number 14, $157,009.22.
Have a motion.
A motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Just so everyone's aware that the large portion of the general expenditures were for the retirement accounts. So that was a couple 100,000 of that. So
We have several transfers. From the contingency account, $18,000. $3,500 is going to uniform allowance for the police for tactical uniforms. $7,500 for police overtime. Compensated absences, 7,000. Telecommunicator overtime, 10,000. Fire physicals, 3,500. And for street laborers, overtime for leaf collection, $10,000. Street sub foreman, 35,000. And from the laborers for refuse, 11,000 for the sub foreman salary. Water fund, 11,000 is going to water. Maintenance of chlorinators, 600, and miscellaneous controls, 1,000. And $8,600 for water breaks and leaks.
I'll make a motion.
1 second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
The treasurer needs to amend the budget for the disability insurance that he never put in a line item for it. So he needs to have a amendment to the budget for $2,800 to cover the expense of the disability insurance.
Did he say where he is pulling that?
He didn't say, but
Can we table it till the
Sure,
next meeting?
well, I mean, why? I mean, I'm not the question, but he's just making the amendment so that we can pay for the disability insurance. Because we already approved it. It's just making the budget so we can put the money in there. But I don't know where he's getting the money from. But he has it, this is his word. I mean, I'm just questioning.
Okay.
I mean,
Well, I mean, I assume it's coming out of unallocated.
right.
I mean, I know the answer is unallocated, so I mean, that's where it's got to come from, so. Is that bill due?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Could we get a confirmation email from Bill?
Yep, I'll make sure I'm writing myself a note right now.
All right, I'll make the motion, to transfer 2,800, from unallocated, to the, disability insurance.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
The fire department, voted in 4 new members. And they'd like to get the approval. You want to do it?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the 4 new members, Charles Luke, Matthew Jaskula, Gary Augclair, and Michael Resi.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And we thank all of them for joining. Sorry.
Start with that. Mike had put into his budget for an air compressor to the road. It's not, it's the one that you tow it.
Yeah.
For when they have to use the jackhammer stuff. The one they had is from the early 60s. And it's finally died. He got 3 quotes, 15 from Walter Pratt and Sons, $15,895. Equipment Trader, $19,500. Admar was $1,700. So he'd like to go with the Walter Pratt and Sons for the compressor. If it is a budgeted item.
My understanding is he's gonna scrap the current one for surplus when he gets this one in.
Yeah.
Okay. I need a motion for that, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So can you just put on the agenda for next meeting that we're surplusing the old compressor?
The fire department is in talks with the city of Rensselaer to police department to purchase the 2015 Ford Expedition. It's gonna be contingent on them, their board approving it at their meeting Wednesday.
I'll make a motion for the City of Rensselaer Police Department to purchase our 2015 Ford Expedition for $15,000 contingent on City of Rensselaer approving the purchase.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mike wants to surplus the old, they kept the old Salter for the old trucks 3, but they can't use it with this new one. They already have one on there. They want to just surplus the Salter.
Move that we surplus the old Salter.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're gonna do that Options International or?
I'm gonna try to.
Okay.
They're gonna, when they, 2 months ago, they transferred the safety trailer for the 1999 Ford pickup. But they're not using it and it's more just taking up space, so they want to surplus that and then put that out for auction.
I'll make a motion to surplus the, 1999 Ford F450, bin 1 FDXW 457 XEC 85785.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
The fire department wants to surplus and sell their extrication equipment to West Albany because they got new updated equipment.
Yeah, when we got the grant, we were able to purchase a new set of equipment that matched. The reason we wanted to surplus this and replace it is what we were getting from the grant. It's new technology, it's a new battery. We'd rather have everything matched. So West Albany is interested in purchasing our old equipment for $15,000. The new equipment's already in service.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Don, do we still have to, you had another
I'll
resolution?
it's fine. You're good.
Well-
I seen a motion to approve me to put the truck out the bid.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Was that the 450?
Yeah, the 450, yeah,
Okay.
he skipped over to the other one, so we needed to surplus it and then.
Got it. Okay.
Matt, you're up for 56.
Okay. Good evening, board. So before you today is, the site plan review for 5056 Clifford, consider, concurrent preliminary and final site plan approval. We've been working with the applicants, since August 7th, and, as of today, there was just one final outstanding item that the applicants complied with, which had to do with the turning movements for the fire apparatus, and ensuring that there was adequate turning room in order to back it up, turn it around, and come out without backing out, and in compliance with what we required. And the fire chief by email signed off today to say that, well, given the site dimensions, meeting the state code was possible. He was comfortable with the agreement that we worked out with the applicant to provide adequate room to back it up and turn it around. And that's the largest piece of equipment they have. So with that, we prepared a resolution recommending that the village board consider concurrent preliminary and final site plan. We don't feel there's a need to just issue preliminary and then turn around and issue final, since they started everything with just a few conditions. That project will be constructed as indicated on the final documents. I think we brought 2 copies of the final 3. Okay, so the copies of the most recent revisions, I think it's dated December 1st. So those will be the approved plans, and if approved, Brian will endorse those at a later date. Provide a copy to the applicants, and copies will remain with Lyle. The facades of the 4 proposed structures will be consistent in style and color with the existing structures. I don't think that would be an issue. And if there's any outstanding escrow amounts that needs to be paid to the village, I don't have that number yet. You know, we were pushing really hard to help get this to where we're at today. We'll have to check the records. And then we'll just need to confirm tomorrow if the final site plan application or final site plan fee was paid. I didn't get that information yet. So those are just a couple of items. And I think the applicant's here today, so if there's any questions by the board, we can try to answer those.
Yeah, I would just like to ask Steve, with the fire chief waiving state requirement on the turning radius, is that acceptable as far as any kind of issues down the road? If, something should occur where.
If the engineer has signed off on it, then yes. Is it the perfect answer? But is it, are there site restrictions which keep them from being able to comply with code?
The restrictions we were trying to limit, I think, the further, and I wouldn't say going, further impact behind existing residences. So
It would have required us to go further back into the wooded area that we kind of said we were protecting from any development by about another 60 feet. So the code is very, it's more than what it really needs to be, but it's really, I don't want to say it's a guide, but it's kind of a guidance for municipalities to utilize those on brand new sites and sites that are larger. But the turning radius definitely fits. Everything works. There's 22 feet instead of 60 feet, but close to the size of the vehicle will work.
I guess the question I would have, Tim, is whether or not, and maybe Matt can answer this, or maybe we have to rely on the chief, is whether or not there are any firematic activities that are affected by the reduced turnaround.
But the one thing I'd have for the applicant is that because it has to back into that, looks like an area that's gridded out as no parking area, that would have to be a hard rule with the residents that are there.
It's gotta be signed and we can't block it off, but.
No, obviously not, no.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Just like the dumpster area, same type of situation.
Would it be not just straight but marked no parking fire zone, or would that
The
be?
sign says that, but there's nothing on the pavement. We can easily put stuff on the pavement too. If you want to make that's not an issue. I mean, the owner is a fireman too, so.
Okay, all right, so you're well aware of what it is.
Yeah, we want to take every opportunity to make sure that the fire truck can do what it needs to do in the back there. We're well experienced in that kind of stuff,
Okay.
so we want to make sure that's
All
appropriate.
right, okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Now, I'll just clarify that the relief from the fire code, being provided by the chief, we're not providing that. So if the village says we're waiving that requirement, what's been provided is adequate, so what's indicated in that email, we just were in concurrence with that. We're not, Lavella does not issue a waiver to the code.
Okay, yeah, I just want to be sure that, and you can, we can say, okay, this will work under circumstances, but just will be sure that the people that are there understand that there cannot be a vehicle in that.
And it's no different than if it was designed differently, you'd still have this area that's marked off.
Right.
So it's not being treated any differently than if it complies.
We know how people are.
No, I'm just saying that either this location is going to be marked as no parking or a slightly different one that meets 100% the code.
Okay.
So the waiver that's being given it doesn't impact the markings or demarcation of that.
No, I understood that. I understand that.
And just to be clear, as far as the firematics goes, and I don't want to speak out of turn, Assistant Chief, but the fire apparatus has plenty of room to get in there for the emergency. It's the turnaround to get back out.
Right.
Is what the question is. So realistically, in an emergency, especially for me being on the job myself, we can make the swing to get everything in the apparatus in the appropriate position for the emergency at hand.
Okay.
So.
All right. Very good.
In the past,
Hi, Laura Paulson with Labella here as well. And I can speak to this as well. Like was already been stated, the fire code, access road with requirements are mostly for the maneuvering of fire vehicles. So if the fire chief is comfortable with being able to navigate the access road, then it's fine. And I would also say that the point in which the fire hydrant is being installed is on a 24-foot width part of the access road. And that is the most important part for me when I'm reviewing it, is looking at that. And then speaking to the turnaround zone, I think yes, it is important to make sure people aren't parking there. And I would also speak to if you have third-party snow removal or anything like that, it needs to be made clear or a sign posted that that area cannot be used for snow storage.
Sure.
I was gonna say, the board in the past, with respect to final site plan approval, is also, as a general proposition, as opposed to specific to, each project, has set forth conditions, for example, prior to the issuance of a building permit, that the applicant, provide the village with, sufficient financing or proof of sufficient financing to complete the project. There's also a timeline with respect to, once a building permit is issued, how long the building permit is good for, and once they put their first shovel in the ground, how much time they have to complete the project.
And that the project is not transferable.
And is not transferable to another applicant or LLC.
Are you comfortable with those as well?
These are just general requirements. We ran into an issue years and years ago
I understand.
with a project.
Right.
Yeah.
There's always a reason.
So those conditions will be added. approval. I want to get that out there.
Sure, sure.
Okay, so, any other questions about the project? All right, so we need what? A motion to,
Yes,
You have a copy of the resolution.
there's a resolution.
all right. Someone want to read it?
I don't know if you have to do the whole thing out the first picture.
One's for the neg, is this for just the neg deck or is this for
This is
How
neg
about,
deck and preliminary final site plan approval.
all right, whereas the applicant Davison Properties and Investments LLC is seeking site plan approval, to construct four-unit apartment, 16 residential units at 50 to 56 Clifford Road and the R4 zoning district. Proposed project bringing the total number of units on the property to 24 units. And whereas the applicant submitted a site plan application on July 24, 2023, followed by supplemental information on September 20th, November 17th, and December 4th. And whereas the proposed project and all final application documents are more formally described in the attached notice of decision. And whereas on September 21st, 2023, Albany County Planning Board found the proposed project will have no impact on the jurisdictional determinant referring to this case, nor will it have a significant countywide or intermunicipal impact. And whereas the village opened the public hearing on August 21st, 2023, and closed public hearing on November 20th, 2023. And whereas on July 13th, 2023, the Village Zoning Board of Appeals approved an area variance providing relief for the village zoning law to exceed the 12 unit per acre requirement, allowing up to 15 units per acre, and relief from the rear setback requirement of 40 feet, allowing for rear yard setback of 14.2 feet with the following conditions. One, the layout of the project, including the location of the proposed buildings, parking, and natural screening, shrubs, and trees shall generally be as presented to the board during the meeting on July 13th, including minimizing the disruptions to the extent reasonable to the existing natural area located behind the neighboring properties. Two, the four proposed two-story structures area constructed in essentially the same location are presented at the public hearing and as shown on the most up-to-date rendering submitted to the board. And three, preference shall be given to locating the apartment dumpsters towards the northwest corner of the proposed parking lot to minimize potential for rodents and nuisance wildlife inhabiting the neighborhood properties. And whereas the village board has reviewed parts 1 and 2 of the short environmental assessment form as required for secret review, and whereas the village board has sole decision-making authority for the proposed project and therefore declares itself lead agency for the purpose of secret review, and whereas the village board has determined that no significant adverse environmental impacts are anticipated as a result of the proposed project and issues a negative declaration. And whereas the village board has reviewed the application and supplemental information provided and confirms the conditions required by the zoning board of appeals have been satisfied. And whereas the village board has reviewed the application and supplemental information provided against the requirement of the previous chapter 169 zoning and chapter A172 site plan review regulations and has determined the application meets the requirements for approval as detailed in the attached notice of decision. Now therefore be it resolved that the Menands Village Board hereby issues a concurrent preliminary and final site plan approval for the proposed project with conditions as indicated on the attached notice of decision. Conditions the project will be constructed as indicated in the site plan application and supplemental materials provided and referenced in the notice of decision. Facades of the proposed 4 new structures will be consistent in style and color of the 2 existing structures, and payment of any outstanding escrow amounts will be paid to the village of Menands.
And say it again?
Was at the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was at the
And
end.
then
In
additionally,
addition to that, condition that should be placed on the approval would be, prior to the issuance of the building permit, the applicant must provide proof of sufficient financing to complete the project, that the building permit is only good for a period of 18 months, that the applicant is 18 months from the issuance of the building permit to complete the project and obtain a certificate of occupancy,
except if the board can extend.
except if the board can extend. And the site plan approval is unique to this applicant and is not transferable.
And is that still a motion?
I will make the motion.
I'll second that. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Abstain from voting.
Yeah.
You're gonna let me abstain.
You gotta put a reading.
We're not gonna vote on it. Am I right?
Okay, well, Steve, do you have any comment on two board members abstaining from the vote?
It's a vote of the majority of the board.
Okay.
Passes.
Majority carries.
Okay.
You're welcome. Do we need a separate vote on the seeker or no? Is that all, was that part of, it was all part of the same? Yeah, all right.
You're all set. We'll have this completed and signed.
Okay. On behalf of my brother and I just want to thank the village, the board and our neighbors, for your consideration on the project. So thank you for placing your trust in us.
You're welcome. Good luck in the project.
Thank you.
Do you want to talk about 35 Broadway?
Yes. All right, 35 Broadway, Soldier Run, a multifamily development. The village previously issued site plan approval and special use permit approval back in 2020. Actually, the preliminary site plan was actually October 18th of 2021. So on November 22nd, Labella Associates received their final site plan construction documents. We've been working with them to review their building permit application, and Labella has signed off on that, although that's technically separate from the final site plan application, but there's been a significant amount of review done, and we've signed off on all the building permit and construction documents. And there was a couple of outstanding conditions with the preliminary site plan approval. One was to secure a temporary easement for grading on adjacent property. That's no longer needed. On the, I think it was to the north, Matt. And the applicant provided today an explanation as to why. That's in an email that I received just before I left the office. So that easement's no longer needed. They need to provide a permanent easement across the street for the water lateral on the private property. That can't be approved until the village issues final site plan approval. So we're rolling that into this final site plan approval as a condition. It's noted on their plan. They've identified the location. And then once this approval is issued, they can go and finalize that easement. So they'll provide the village with a copy of that easement once it's been recorded. The 18-month requirement for the building permit, that'll carry over, and proof of commitment of appropriate financing was received by Labella last week as well. So all of the conditions have either been complied with, or for obvious reasons, we're rolling them over into the final site plan approval. So we've provided a resolution and recommending that the village board consider final site plan approval. Matt Broston from LA Group is here if the board has any additional questions. And you will drop off hard copies for Brian's signature tomorrow, and Nicole's signature on the stormwater request.
Any further comments on?
No, you asked before the meeting started about Cranesville, if we were able to discuss with them. We had discussions with them. We weren't able to secure an easement with them before needing to move forward because of funding. So we approached the other party that we're getting the easement from, and they were happy to comply and to allow it. It is a change from what we did show before, but it is something that everybody has reviewed. It does make the same connection point. So,
and that's across the street?
Correct. Correct.
So does that need to say that in here? Or it just says a lateral?
It's all on the plan.
Well, the other one's a temporary easement for the grading,
So there's two.
or statement.
Right, there's two easements that were discussed. A temporary easement was discussed, for grading onto the site and the adjacent land, which are no longer gonna require grading of the property. The other permanent easements are all gonna happen on the other side of the right of way that are shown in the plans. And those final easements, the permanent easements, will be depicted and shown on a plan, and then it'll be filed at the county and, have a deed restriction and show up as easements on, with the deeds. That's moving forward.
This has been a long time coming. I mean, this project started 6 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
Anyone from the board have further comments or concerns? Or from somebody, read the resolution?
I can read it. Sure. Whereas the applicant, Beacon Communities, requests final site plan approval for the construction of veterans housing at 35 Broadway, SBL 55.17-1-56 within the Broadway Business District. And whereas the village board previously issued a seeker negative declaration for the project on July 20th, 2020. And whereas the village board previously granted a special use permit for the project on July 20th, 2020. And whereas the village board previously found the application materials to be in conformance with the zoning laws of the Village of Menands, and the village board granted preliminary site plan approval on October 18th, 2021 with the following conditions. The applicant must secure a temporary easement to permit grading on adjacent property. Number two, the applicant must secure a permanent easement to permit the installation and long-term operation and maintenance of the water lateral on private property. Three, should the village board grant final site plan approval and a building permit is issued, the duration from building permit issuance to completion of construction and certificate of occupancy shall be no longer than 18 months. Prior to the expiration of such 18-month period, the permittee may apply for an extension of such a period, and the Board of Trustees may, in its direction, grant an extension. Number four, the applicant shall provide written proof of the commitment of appropriate financing for completion of the project prior to issuance of a building permit by the village. Whereas on November 22nd, 2023, the Village of Menands and Labella Associates received revised site plan sheets with the most recent revision date of November 11th, 2023, and permit comments dated November 15th, 2023, indicating compliance with all Labella Associates building permit review comments. And whereas the Village of Menands and Labella Associates received an email dated December 1st, 2023, indicating that a temporary easement to permit grading on adjacent property was no longer needed. And whereas the Village of Menands and Labella Associates received proof of project financing via email on December 1st, 2023, and whereas the revised site plan sheet L4 identifies a permanent easement for water lateral connection to the main. And whereas the applicant has indicated that the referenced easement cannot be formalized until final site plan approval is issued. And whereas Labella Associates has determined that the applicant has sufficiently complied with the preliminary site plan conditions and recommends the village board issue final site plan approval with conditions. Now therefore be it resolved that based on a review of the supplemental materials noted above on December 4th, 2023, the village board hereby issues final site plan approval with the following conditions. Number one, the applicant shall provide the Village of Menands with a copy of a permanent easement to permit the installation and long-term operation and maintenance of the water lateral on private property. Number two, the duration from building permit issuance to completion of construction and certificate of occupancy shall be no longer than 18 months. Prior to the expiration of such 18-month period, the permittee may apply for an extension of such a period, and the Board of Trustees may, in its discretion, grant an extension.
I'd also recommend that you add a condition that the This final site plan approval is unique to this applicant and is not transferable.
Number three, final site plan review is unique to this applicant and is not transferable to future applicants.
Is that a motion?
Yes, and I move this, for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. 6 years.
Thank you very much.
Good luck with the project.
So. Where are we now?
Here at the Regeneron.
Regeneron. Last week we had a meeting, with the Albany County IDA who introduced pilot request from Regeneron. There were a few people in attendance from the school, some from, a gentleman from, I think he was from
Painters Union.
Painters Union, right, Painters Union, Finishing Trades, which is down the street here. And so, I included for the board's review, basically a summary of the financial breakdown of what they're requesting. They have not sent me the official revised, as Mike had asked, and Courtney had asked, that, we received the official revised. I hope to get that tomorrow and we'll forward it as I receive it. But basically, just a summary. Thanks, Matt. Basically what they're asking is that the taxes all stay the same as they are currently, that those taxes increase at 3% per year, and that they phase in any additional investments at 10% per year until year 10 when it's full assessment. So, that's what we've done. We've done that before with some of the other more challenging buildings in the village, like the lofts. So as soon as we get that final version of their ask, I'll send that to the board and to anyone who wants to see a copy of it.
Did the IDA approve it at the meeting or did they?
No,
have
no,
to-
it was just for public comment.
Okay, just for comment.
And that comment period is still open and I believe their meeting is,
They said January and February. They said public comment is open. People can submit graded comments. I believe they said until the 15th. They were hoping that we could
Right.
get written proposal before then, and their next meeting is January or February, where they're gonna talk about the approval.
so,
Is it on their website for the public comments? Is there a link for that or?
I assume so. On their website, not ours.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Website.
when I get it with the other information, I'll send it to the board for anyone to
Find it.
yeah. Next.
Nicole is, asking for a change in the way we do the water billing, for the people that are late paying it, instead of charging 2% and then 1% every month after that, to change it to, they have 45 days to pay and it'll be a flat fee of 10%. And then it'll be added to the following water bill. And then if they don't pay that, then it'll be an additional 10%. And they still don't pay that, then it's gonna be re-levied like it is now, but we have $50 re-levy charge that we currently charge.
So that on top of it, that's the $50 re-levy that will.
When we re-levy it to tax to the county, that's when it gets the $50 charge.
Now, I did have a brief discussion with, Nicole in reference to this, and, basically what she told me was that Springbox system, did not do this calculation the way we have done it. So she looked at what the other municipalities were doing, took the, provided the examples, and, my discussion with her was that, is this, and I guess this question is to Steve, as when we do water and sewer, rate changes, when you're in a specific cycle, it would not go into effect in this cycle. It would have to wait until the following cycle to go into effect. So even if we did this now, the system we have would still, even though we've moved to Springbrook, we'd still have to be in place for this first cycle that we're in with them. It would have worked the same way. We can't change it in the
You can't
midst of.
change in the middle of a cycle.
Right.
It would only impact the following cycle.
Yeah.
So
Does that
so
make sense?
Nicole looked into it, and the rate is one thing. But she found that there wasn't anything that said even the rate couldn't be changed mid-cycle. But her proposal is that penalties can be changed.
Penalties could be changed, but the rate cannot.
Correct.
Well, okay, so we're not, but at the same token, it does, to me, I don't know if I'm comfortable with having it like a different rule.
So the impetus for this is that Springbrook does not automatically add the penalty to anyone. So she has to go in and manually change everyone who is late after the first 30 days and add the interest or penalty.
Right,
whatever it
in
is,
my-
manually.
She'd have to do it at midnight that day.
And my suggestion was that, okay, if we do this, it would make no difference if we didn't do anything with those people, because she basically had indicated to me that it's generally the same properties
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
are.
50 or 60 people.
Right, hold on, just give me a moment, that they'll be the same people in the next cycle for the most part, and that you're adding on the new tally plus whatever else is due at that time, you're not gonna lose anything for the most part, if we did nothing in this.
Well, yeah, the people who aren't paying on time are not being charged.
Do the unpaid water bills get placed under your tax, under the taxes?
Yeah.
After the second one, when everything gets levied after the second one.
Right, but we'd essentially not lose anything if we're just kind of re-levying it in the next one anyway.
Oh, you lose the penalty for people not paying the January bill.
You could still do it at the next cycle.
But I think that's where you're misunderstanding. She wasn't saying that they carry their full bill to the next cycle. They just don't pay their bill on time.
Right,
Right.
correct.
So then if you say, okay, we're not gonna penalize anybody, then come February, I'm gonna pay my bill because now you're telling me if I don't, the next one. So then we're
Right,
missing out on that
So
late
if they
fee.
do, then, I mean, you've basically just given grace because we're changing our system in the next cycle. We haven't really lost anything the way I'm looking at it. That's all I'm saying.
So if somebody, instead of paying in the 30 days that we normally collect it in, so January 31st, the
Yeah.
bill is due. If they pay in April, they're not getting penalized?
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying.
I don't
Right.
think that's
No.
fair.
Because-
What if everyone doesn't pay
But if
until?
they,
And I also don't think it's fair to say that she needs to go in and manually do this.
no, I'm not saying she should. I'm saying
Right.
that we'd avoid having her do that.
Yes. And then where do you
I think-
propose we find the money that we would normally get from those penalties?
It's not an exorbitant, it's not an enormous amount of money either way. Even though. it's
What if
not
everybody
enormous.
doesn't pay?
No, that's not gonna be the
I mean,
I mean, there's no point.
Yeah, no penalty.
right,
I still get my money.
right, I mean,
You still have to pay that next bill. It doesn't mean you don't pay your bill, you're still gonna be there the next cycle.
Yeah.
so Nicole is suggesting that we charge a 10% late fee after 45 days,
Which gives everybody an additional 15 days to pay.
which gives everybody 15 extra days to
I
pay.
think there's a grace period.
Yeah, it's built in with that. Goes from 30 to 45.
Is that a motion?
I don't want to make a motion, so somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, to approve the changing the penalty and interest
Could
charges.
you state the full change of what it's going to be? Because she's got,
Yeah, so I propose to change the interest from to a flat 10% penalty after 45 days. So the bill is due in 45 days, day 46, there's a 10% penalty.
effective at the end of this billing cycle? Or
Yes.
with this billing cycle?
Well, this bill comes out January 1st.
Yeah.
So this will take effect for that,
on that bill.
for that bill.
On the January 1st bill?
Yes.
Yes. So that bill is due March or February 15th.
And there would still be and if it's still due on the next, there's still the $50 releving.
Like it's re-levied onto the tax. If that happens, we do that anyway.
That'll be automatic.
That's what I'm.
So if that bill still remains unpaid, they pay 10% plus they paid
Additional
$50 and it comes on their village tax bill. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It just makes it a ton easier.
Yes.
I mean, looking at some of these, some of these whack 10% after 60 days, 5% after that,
Mhm.
10% after 45 days, and then re-levy, 10% late fee after 45 days, and then re-levy.
So we're basically doing the same thing as the village of Pelham.
Yes, which I think is good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Plus, she doesn't have to come in at midnight.
Right. Yeah, that would be ridiculous.
I'll see her in the morning after that. So,
Right.
Fusion.
okay, so, we've been talking about, the Fusion, advisory team. So as I understand, we have Steve Boulay, Jody Havinger, Brett Harris.
Yep, good.
And we need a fourth, and we're gonna continue to talk about the fourth. But I think it's important to potentially have the three start and add the fourth, or get them at least scheduled a meeting and give those names to Mitch so that he can make the introductions. And then add the fourth if they can make it by the time of that first meeting. But he'd like to get started, so.
So should we approve the,
Well, it's more of an agreement. We don't need to do a motion for it,
Okay.
Cause it's not really a board resolution, but,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
Molly and I talked a little bit today about some additional members, and I'd like to pursue those.
yeah, absolutely.
So, but I think it's still important. Steve's had apparently, from my understanding, a meeting with Mitch individually, so, with your sister's knowledge, I think it would be good to just get them started to see, what's going on down there, the longer it waits.
Yeah. I agree. Get
Okay,
that.
does
get
anyone
that
have an objection to that? Do you?
Not at all.
Okay, all right. So I will provide those three names to Mitch, and then we'll work on
The fourth.
adding a fourth.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Fire chief policy.
we've been talking about updating, the fire chief's car policy. Dave provided a framework, that was adjusted a couple of things. Does anyone have any thoughts or, concerns about it? I mean, basically, it's the same, it's just updating some of the minor things. Mike, you want to add anything to it? No? All right, so there's just,
Support it.
there's some grammatical things that I'd like to tighten up on this, if that's all right.
So do we want to wait?
So,
the 17th?
If we're all okay with it in concept, I'll just,
Yeah.
okay,
Fine.
and then I'll
Yeah.
submit the final version the next meeting?
Yes,
Okay,
formal approval.
so the 18th. Can we just move that to the 18th?
Yep.
Thank you.
So conceptually, we're good to go.
Yes,
It's just grammatical.
Yeah.
Errors.
sorry. You want to talk about truck 6?
Sure. Truck 6 responded early on Thanksgiving to a structure fire down in Skylar Heights. It was behind the Dawson's building. It was reported by the first driving chief officer that there were high tension power lines down on the ground. Truck 6 was put into a defensive position to block or to provide coverage for one of the exposures. In our operation of doing so, there was still some what ended up being spectrum or telephone lines. Had everybody pretty nervous that the bucket was operating in that area. They were more paying attention to that than they were where the bucket was over the truck and crunched into the cab. Good news, nobody was hurt. We do have a repair. It is on Skylar Heights per the mutual aid agreement. I believe Don's
Yeah,
contacted.
the cost is $30,000, but it's gonna be all off of Skylar Heights' insurance instead of ours. So it's no cost to us.
We're just looking for permission to get the repair done.
Okay. So it doesn't cost us anything, we just still need to approve it, correct? Okay,
How long will the truck, any idea how long the truck will be?
Hopefully less than a week, 5 business days.
yeah, that's what he said. He said he just,
And it's still in operation now.
Yeah.
It's gonna, so we don't, it's not out of service.
yeah, he said he's just gonna fit it in when he can and bang it out. And get
They're
it
gonna
back.
order all the parts, get all the parts in ahead of time, and then take it, get it done and get it back to us.
The other thing is the insurance company may want to come down, just take a look at it, if that's.
Oh, they gotta take photographs and all that.
We have photographs for it, but we gave presented that on, okay, so because of the cost of it, they have to have it.
All right, I'll make a motion for approval of the repair to, truck 6.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Want to talk about, let's see. Town of Colony has given us some guidance on the availability of discounts on property and, taxes. We're gonna put that form and,
Purchase the firefighters?
yes,
Yes.
it's gonna go on the website.
Yeah, it's going on the web, it's already on the website.
It's under forms.
Yeah. But they also, the town just came up with like, I'll talk to you guys about it. We have to do a list of everybody that's qualified, that's not qualified for it.
Yep.
And,
And where does that go, the assessor's office? or-
That's his office, but we get the one for the village.
Yes.
Nicole's gonna get that. The school wants to, Courtney, did the school approve it or is it still, haven't come to a vote?
The truck?
Yeah, no, the,
Exemption.
tax
For firefighters.
exemption for firefighters.
We're discussing it at the next, school board meeting. We only meet once a month, so we
Okay.
have a public hearing before the next school board meeting. It is, I believe, the week before yours, the 11th.
Next Monday. Did they approve the, sort of pickup too, that they talked about there?
That was approved.
Okay.
I think Mike was just trying to get something to it and then get it to the school. Okay, the Solar Simplified, is on the website. People can use the link to sign up and the village will give credit for each sign up. There's a mailing going out that's gonna arrive next week for that, so I think my mom just signed up, so. We've been talking about the SAM grant, to replace the bathrooms down at the ball field. After reviewing it and looking through Meg's notes, we were already approved to have those bathrooms replaced. And so I'm going to be working on some conceptual designs to get that done, hopefully, this coming season.
That'll be the ones by the ball field?
By the ball field, yeah.
Good.
But the good news,
Demolition of the.
no, we're not gonna demolish it. It's a solid structure and they believe that it can be just totally
Renovated.
gutted and renovated.
Oh, okay.
So they already granted us $59,000 towards that project, so we'll not have to use a SAM grant to do that, but we'll just have to get it done and then submit for reimbursement.
So we, put that out to bid now, or we
Yeah,
get?
so there's a couple concepts and I'll send them around to the board once I talk with Labella again about the different designs, but, one of the things that, we just wanted to look at was the septic tank that's there. Cause that's one of the items that is a question mark. That building is not connected to the sewer line, so there's a septic there, which is fine. But he just wanted to evaluate its integrity before, before we figured out exactly what the entire scope of the project is.
Should we compare that to connecting it to the sewer line?
Very expensive, and we'd have to add a grinder pump, and Mike just doesn't believe that that's the proper way to go.
Oh, okay.
The only item that might need to be replaced is the actual tank itself because
Okay.
it may be metal versus, now they'd be plastic.
Yeah.
So that they don't decompose and rust. So he just wanted to talk a little bit about that with a septic company first before we created an entire scope.
Oh, okay. But maybe just for, and I'm in full support of that, but maybe just for comparison's sake, get what the price and the long-term cost would be of both of those, because septic tanks have to be maintained.
Yeah. I'll make sure that Mike includes both of those.
Yeah. Sometimes you never know.
Tree lighting is tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Tree lighting or tree gets lit at 5:30. So please come. There's going to be caroling and kids singing, and I think Santa will be there. Candy canes and hot chocolate. So we have the menorah lighting.
Yep.
On the 11th.
Yep. Right here.
Right here at 5 o'clock.
The bench on the bench is here to remind everybody of that.
Right. Let's see, the holiday train was a successful event. We collected how much food, Don?
It was 200 bags. Wow. And we gave us both over $900 cash.
And then the holiday train.
The holiday train gave her 1,000.
Wow. Nice.
So
That's
it was a nice
fantastic.
event. From all indications, there was not a single issue. So,
That's great.
thank God.
Yeah.
'Cause
They did get their keys.
they did get their keys.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the only issue with some lost keys or found keys. So that was excellent. And, anything else, Don?
That's all I got.
Okay. Any board members have anything?
You covered it.
All right. We have a legal matter.
Public comment.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. All right. Public comment. Go ahead, Bill.
I gave you, all right, one of the letters, I'd like to thank our Public Works guys for posting one new yellow dead-end sign on northern part of Elmwood Road. Well done. I'm also glad that the Public Works guys greatly appreciate the fact that I've been helping them to pick up trash next to concession and store building after each kickball or soccer game, which I'll continue to do next fall when we have those games. Now, Don Hanahan, remember I reported to you about that one white railing at 33 Menands Road residential home, which is still being covered with plants and vines? Remember I wrote to you about that?
33 Flicker, you mean? Or
No, 33 Menands Road, residential home. It's colored white.
I don't remember that one.
But I did report it to you. I wrote to you. But that still should, those vines and plants should be removed from that.
Okay.
Really, because it's a health, it's general welfare, public safety, fire, environment, and quality of life hazards. I would appreciate if you can kindly have the property owner do so.
Yep.
Now, since I've raised the subject of Tillinghast Avenue having one large bump on this village street, so I'd like to thank our Public Works guys for finally repairing the large bump on Tillinghast Avenue. Well done. Now, during early November of 2023, I finally got my litter cleanup work details done in Lower Menands, so I look forward to doing this kind of work in various parts of our village during 2024. And Brian Marsh, I'd like to thank you for seeing to it that our village office staff posts village board meeting agenda lists in advance on the first floor of the lobby, 250 Broadway building, where the Menands Police Station is located. I appreciate that.
Welcome.
You're welcome, and thanks for letting me speak. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
All right. Anyone else for public comment?
Wow.
We are gonna take our ugly sweater picture, next meeting, the 18th. So everybody, make sure you have your finest ugly
That's
sweater.
another reminder, so I appreciate it.
It will get a lot of use.
Yeah, I need to invest in a new one. Anything else, Don, Chief? We have, personnel matter,
I move that we enter executive session for a personnel matter.
two personnel.
Two personnel matters.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, Brian.
Good night, sir.
Good night, guys. There's supposed to be some activity.
Well, tomorrow? Well, oh, the 11th, yeah, the, menorah lighting right here.
I'll probably be there. I'm not sure.
Can't do it.